The jury in this civil trial just moments ago finding Donald Trump liable of battery and liable of defamation in connection with claims brought by E. Jean Carroll.
So the question is, why did Donald Trump lose this case? Well, if you want to know the facts, stay tuned. So a Manhattan federal jury found Donald Trump liable for battery and defamation, but not liable for tape. And I'm saying tape instead of the other word because I'm trying to keep this video monetized. Okay, so on your screen right now is the complaint from the U.S. District Court by E. Jean Carroll against Donald J. Trump. Now, this is a civil trial, so the first thing we have to talk about is differences in the burden of proof. Now, in a civil trial, the burden of proof is generally the preponderance of the evidence or clear and convincing evidence. Where in a criminal trial, you're looking at proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, there are dramatic differences within the burden of proof. For instance, for a preponderance of the evidence, you just really need more than 50% of the evidence that agrees with your proposition. That's how you win. Where in a criminal trial, you need to show that evidence is beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's essentially more than 90%, a high degree of confidence. So in this particular case, E. Jean Carroll's attorneys only had to show by a preponderance of the evidence, an extremely low standard, that Trump was guilty of both defamation and battery based on this lower standard. So now let's look at the causes of action in the lawsuit. Count one is battery. So battery is when someone intentionally causes harmful or offensive contact with another person. Now, battery has essentially two elements. The first element is the intent element, where intentionally causes. That means the person has to intend to do this. And the second is the act. The act is harmful or offensive contact with another person. And the caveat here is that someone's body must actually be touched. So as long as E. Jean Carroll can prove that Trump intentionally touched her in a harmful or offensive manner, then she wins on the battery claims. So the second count is defamation. Now, this defamation allegedly occurred on October 12, 2022, and it was about claims that former President Trump made on Truth Social. So now we know the claims, let's talk about the parties. E. Jean Carroll is a journalist and former Miss Indiana University. Here's a picture of her being crowned. Now, Ms. Carroll had claimed that Donald Trump had assaulted her in late 1995 or early 1996 in a luxury New York City department store. Ms. Carroll also alleged that Donald Trump's claims that her story was made up and a hoax were defamatory. Now, since there were no witnesses to the event, this essentially became a credibility contest between Donald Trump and Ms. Carroll. So now to win this credibility contest, both sides have to put on some type of evidence to show that what they're saying is actually true. So here is what Ms. Carroll presented to show that Donald Trump was liable for these acts. E. Jean Carroll first testified about what happened and how it affected her life. E. Jean Carroll also called two long-term friends who she told of the incident during the time it occurred. Carol Martin, a retired journalist and longtime friend of Carroll, testified that Ms. Carroll told her about the incident around the time it allegedly occurred. And Lisa Brinbach, a writer and longtime friend of Carroll, who she also allegedly told about the events surrounding Donald Trump. Ms. Carroll also had two other women testify who claimed that Trump assaulted them to show a pattern of behavior. First up was Jessica Leeds, a retired businesswoman from North Carolina, who says that Trump groped her on a plane.
Well, Jessica Leeds, as you'll hear her say, concedes that what she's alleged happened a long time ago. As you'll also hear her say, it left a mark. We spoke late today. So when was the first time you saw Donald Trump?
I was on an airplane coming back to New York where my car was parked, and I was asked by the stewardess, would I like to come up and sit in first class?
Where were you flying from?
You know, 35 years ago.
Now, another witness who testified that Donald Trump assaulted them was Natasha Stonoff. Here is what she had to say.
We have breaking developments tonight. One Donald Trump accuser stepping out of the shadows for an on-camera interview. The People magazine writer says she's no longer afraid.
I wanted to talk to the women of this country and of this world.
Natasha Stonoff says she hid her face out of fear, but tonight she's stepping forward for her first on-camera interview for the People Entertainment Weekly Network to talk about her alleged sexual assault by Donald Trump.
Now, E. Jean Carroll also had some expert witnesses testify, a clinical psychologist who interviewed Carroll about the assault, and an associate professor at Northwestern University's School of Journalism to show how Carroll's reputation was harmed. Now, when it comes to the claims of defamation, this all arises off of October 12, 2022 statement Trump made on Truth Social. Here is that defamatory statement in full.
So it says October 12, 2022, statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. This, quote, Ms. Burdorf Goodman case is a complete con job. And our legal system in this country, and our legal system in this country, but especially in New York State, just look at Peekaboo James, is a broken disgrace. You have to fight for years. It's been a fortune in order to get your reputation back from liars, cheaters, and hacks. This decision is from the judge who was just overturned on my same case. I don't know this woman, have no idea who she is, other than it seems she had a picture of me many years ago with her husband shaking my hand on a reception line at a celebrity charity event. She completely made up a story that I met her at the doors of this crowded New York City department store and within minutes swooned her. Swooned is in quotes. It is a hoax and a lie, just like all the other hoaxes that have been played on me for the past 7 years. And while I'm not supposed to say it, I will. This woman is not my type, exclamation point. She has no idea what day, what week, what month, what year, or what decade this so-called event, in quotes, supposedly took place. The reason she doesn't know is because it never happened, and she doesn't want to get caught up with details or facts that could be proven wrong. If you watch Anderson Cooper's interview with her, where she was promoting a really crummy book, you will see that it is a complete scam. She changed her story from beginning to end after the commercial break to suit the purposes of CNN and Andy Cooper. Our justice system is broken, along with almost everything else in our country. Her lawyer is a political operative and Cuomo crony who goes around telling people that the way to beat Trump is to sue him all over the place. She is suing me on numerous frivolous cases, just like this one, and the court system does nothing to stop it. In the meantime, and for the record, E. Jean Carroll was not telling the truth, is a woman I had nothing to do with, didn't know, and would have no interest in knowing her if I ever had the chance. Now all I have to do is go through years more of legal nonsense in order to clear my name of her and her lawyer's phony attacks on me. This can only happen to, quote, in quotes, Trump, exclamation point. Did I read that correctly?
Great statement. True.
And now that you've heard it again and you have it in front of you, you're again confirmed that you wrote the whole thing yourself.
I wrote it all myself. All myself.
So now let's turn to Trump's defense. So Trump's defense against the claims of battery were simple. He claimed that he didn't even know who E. Jean Carroll was. He claimed that she was not his type. He claimed that she was just making these claims to sell a book. And he also claimed that Ms. Carroll was mentally ill. Now, to prove these propositions or to show any evidence of them, Trump's lawyers called no witnesses, no experts to counter the experts from the other side, absolutely no witnesses. The only evidence that the jury heard on Trump's side was essentially his deposition. So now to the question on whether Trump knew who E. Jean Carroll was, this is what Trump said during his deposition.
Now, when you say in here, I don't know this woman and have no idea who she is, even though you're using the present tense, you're referring back to your knowledge as of when she first made the allegation.
I still don't know this woman. I think she's a whack job. I have no idea. I don't know anything about this woman other than what I read in stories and what I hear. I know nothing about her.
Okay, well, I guess the distinction I'm trying to make, sir, is that when the allegation came out in 2019, you said I think it's your testimony that you had no idea who she was.
So I still don't.
Well, today you at least know that she's a plaintiff in a case suing you, correct?
Oh, yes, that I know.
Okay.
But I know nothing about her. I think she's sick, mentally sick.
Trump's next argument of defense was that she was making up these claims to sell a book. Here's what Trump said about that.
In your June 21 statement, which is DJT 20, you said that Ms. Carroll was trying to sell a new book, and that you said shame on those who make up false stories of assault to try to get publicity for themselves or sell a book.
No. That's right.
Before you made that statement, did you have any knowledge, one way or the other, of the financial arrangements between Ms. Carroll and the publisher of her book?
No.
Now, his biggest defense was that she was essentially not his type and that he wouldn't have done this to her because he wasn't attracted to her. Here's what he says about that.
Okay, then you go on to say in the statement, and while I am not supposed to say it, I will. Why were you not supposed to say it?
Because it's not politically correct to say, read the next, go ahead, that she's not my type. Yeah, because it's not politically correct to say it, and I know that, but I'll say it anyway. She's accusing me of a woman that I have no idea who she is. It came out of the blue. She's accusing me of The worst thing you can do, the worst charge, and you know it's not true too. You're a political operative also. You're a disgrace. But she's accusing me, and so are you, of rape, and it never took place. And I will tell you, I made that statement and I said, while it's politically incorrect, she's not my type. And that's 100% true. She's not my type.
So next they showed Donald Trump this picture. This picture has E. Jean Carroll, her husband John Johnson, Ivana Trump, Trump's first wife, and Donald Trump himself. Now this is Donald Trump's ex-wife, Marla Maples. Now Trump actually left Ivana Trump from Marla Maples. So there is no doubt that Marla Maples is Trump's type. He married her. So this is what Trump said about the picture.
I review a black and white photograph that we've marked as DJT23. And I'm going to ask you, is this the photo that you were just referring to?
I think so, yes.
And do you recall when you first saw this photo?
At some point during the process, I saw it. That's, I guess, her husband, John Johnson, who was an anchor for ABC. Nice guy, I thought. I mean, I don't know him, but I thought he was pretty good at what he did. I don't even know who the woman. Let's see. I don't know who. It's Marla.
You say Marla's in this photo?
That's Marla. Yeah, that's my wife.
Which woman are you pointing to? No.
Here. Oh, is that?
The person you just pointed to was
I
E. Jean
see.
Carroll.
Who is that? Who is this?
And the woman on the right is your then wife,
I don't know.
Ivana?
This was the picture. I assume that's John Johnson. Is that Carol? Because it's very blurry.
So the jury only seeing that as Trump's defense, then it makes you think either Trump's ex-wife Marla Maples is not his type or Carol is his type, since they look alike. So the jury, after hearing the 11 witnesses that Carol presented and no witnesses from Donald Trump, they concluded this. Verdict form, as it is for battery. Did Ms. Carol prove by a preponderance of the evidence, remember that lower standard, that Trump taped her? The jury came to the conclusion that no, she did not prove that Trump did that to her. But that is only part of the analysis, because even though that in itself would constitute a battery, there is another way that they could prove battery. Did Mr. Trump sexually blank Ms. Carroll? The jury found yes. Now, if that is true, which obviously the jury believed, then this would be considered a battery based on a standard. Remember, the battery is any objectionable touching, a slapping of a butt, for instance. That would be considered a battery, a sexual battery. Question 4, Ms. Carroll was injured as a result of Mr. Trump's conduct. The jury said yes. She had proven that she was battered. She didn't prove that she was taped. And they awarded her $2 million for the battery. And when it comes to the claims of defamation, the statement that was published on October 12, 2022, the jury believed by a preponderance of the evidence was defamatory and awarded $2.7 million. In total, the compensatory damages plus the punitive damages came out to a total of $5 million this jury awarded to Ms. Carroll for both the defamation and the battery. We're at the end of the video, and I have a very important question for you guys. If you were on this jury and you saw this evidence, one side put on witnesses, the other side didn't really put on any witnesses except for the deposition of Donald Trump, how would you have voted in this case? And really put yourself as an impartial jury. And the only evidence that you can consider is essentially what was presented in this video. Would you agree with the jury's findings or wouldn't you? Let me know in the comment section, not only if you agree with what the jury found, but if you disagree, why you disagree. I'll be reading. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.